Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Come dive deeper in some dungeons with me in the War Within expansion, and don't forget to subscribe. Hey guys, welcome back to the healer edition of the Rags to Riches series. Since last week, we got the videos out a little late. This week, we got one key done each roll, so let's see where the druid ended up at the end of last week, and then get into the key. As you guys know, we didn't really get anything crazy out of our vault, so gear-wise, we are still sitting at an average item level of 619. And as for the keys and rating from last week, we timed 3 and ended up with a rating of 616. So let's see what we are getting into this week. So straight off, you might realize I'm starting a third of the way through this dungeon. I apologize, but the record button is hard to remember to press sometimes, but here we are. So as you can see, we're right after the first boss and had no real hiccups. No deaths, so likely this is probably the best place to start. So while I was talking, we pulled the first pack on the bridge, then the tank ended up pulling almost the rest of the bridge. One thing with this pull, make sure you get your kicks, but as a DPS, you should really be focusing the big guy, because the Blood Guard has an AoE damage reduction for its allies that are near him. As you can see, we killed him last, so no worries, but try to make sure you kill him first usually. This tank seems to be pulling pretty slow, so with this double pack, there's no real threats, so let's get into kitty form and do some damage. At the end of this pull, timed it just right, where we then pulled the next blood card pack. But nothing too crazy, except me forgetting that I need to heal myself. But through that hiccup and on to the next pack. So this next pack is kind of all over the place. Everything is kind of spread out. The shaman gets his booty clapped right away and releases, so he's out of the fight for a bit. So I focus on making sure the beetle doesn't call any more friends. But also in this pack, we have to deal with the 2 casters that needed to be kicked. And the Blood Guard reducing all the damage we are doing made this pull a lot longer than it should have been. Then we get a weekly affix right when we get hit pretty hard. So making up the healing with the damage and the absorb shield that we now have on us was a little rough. So I started to pump out some Swiftmen, Treants, we start to rot down, people missing kicks, so eventually I end up going down and releasing. So with me trying to run back, everyone ends up going down here and it's a full wipe. Again, had 0 deaths, and now with this one pull, we took 7 lives with it. I honestly don't know if I could have saved us here without kicks and without killing the Blood Guard. So chalk that one up to just a little bit of overpulling. So we get back to the pull the Blood Guard separate from everything. Everything else went fine. Then next we pull a caster and some smallies, no problem, as we finish up right away into the second Blood Guard pull. Much easier once you get all the kicks. I was able to fit in some damage this time as well. Here we try to think skinny and end up butt pulling some smallies. Just end up cleaving them down, no problem. So the next pull up here has 2 beetles that will call friends. In the start, me and the invoker play chicken on is going to push this farther or into the group, but finally get them together and cleave them down. Then just a blood guard at the end of this bridge. Now it's boss time.
Incompetent drones. I will end you myself. You'll falter, my swarm.
So this boss is pretty easy, just dodge swirls, and if you get an arrow on you, just move towards the wall and away from everyone else.
Gather my prey to me.
I have no idea, for some reason new tanks love to send this frontal down the middle of the circle. After the first one, the tank adjusted, which was good, so we can have some room to work with. But this boss went down without any major problems, and now on to the last part of the dungeon. So we pulled this overseer, no problem. Normally you want to pull the small flying guys into this pack to make it a little bit more efficient. So after he died, I helped the tank by tagging them for him. Killed down the small A's, no problem, and now it's just a straight line to the boss. Pulled the big beetle. This guy has an AoE slam. Each time he uses it, it gets stronger and stronger. So we have to try to focus him down as far as we can. And also with this one, we have a pack of small flying guys roaming around. So I pull him for the tank and tank him with the big beetle. With each stun, we get a little hairier, especially when it is lined up with the weekly affix, but we got through it with no problem. Now the last pull, just 2 overseers. Try to make sure to split your kicks here, and these guys should go down without any trouble. As you can see, I tried to do a little damage here. Except when we miss a kick and get the weekly affix at the same time, the lock just gets put to the shadow realm. I should get an add-on for this weekly affix timers. Locke was dead and running back. I realized we needed some extra count. We went right at the bridge rather than going left. If you go left, there's a lot more count there, but I think this tank is pretty new. So, no biggie. We pull this pack off to the side of the room to finish it up. After this goes down, time for the boss. perfect timing for the weekly affix. We get the buff going into the boss fight rather than during the boss fight. So the boss pulls. My biggest focus here is make sure I dispel people in safe places and heal the rest of the poison damage. By dispelling a character, he shoots out 2 orbs depending on what way the poison affix is facing, and you can make people run into it if you dispel the wrong type of person. So make sure you're healing off this damage and dispelling at the right time so you don't KO one of your players. As far as the oozes, we always want to make sure during the suck we stand in one of these black puddles so it attaches the ooze to us, so we don't get pulled in. To interrupt or get rid of this ooze that's stunning you, you want to make sure you do any kind of interrupt, any kind of stun, or displacement ability. I always use Incap Roar here, which I will have it up every time the ooze attaches itself to me, unless I get a random one on me. I have other things like War Stomp to use and stuff like that, but needless to say, you should only get one at a time, and make sure you're standing outside the white circles. With this fight, also make sure you try to position yourself in the middle. With pugs, they tend to spread out a lot, and if you're off to one side, you might not be able to heal anyone, like this lock kind of being out of my zone every time, so I reposition myself to the middle of the room just to make sure I'm able to hit everyone. And with no real worry points, boss goes down. So that is a +5 RR card down for the healer roll. I feel I'm getting better at this healing roll, but with this mid-range keys, we have some random deaths to things like overpulling or missed kicks. But so far, I feel healing is pretty good. But needless to say, let's see where we ended up this week. So as you can see, with just the one new timed key, our Mythic rating score jumped up to 841. Not too shabby for only having half the dungeons done so far. So let's see what we got in our vault this week. Big bucks, no whammies. Oh, okay. Got a staff. Again, like the shoulders we got last week with this guy. We can upgrade this higher than our current weapon, but I'm holding on to crests for the time being because I have very little on them. I'm kind of waiting for a trinket to come so I can upgrade that because that's kind of our biggest pain point right now. So needless to say, that's the end of the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this 2/3 of a key. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. It helps out a ton. And if there's anything I can change in my videos, leave in a comment down below. I hope you guys are subscribing because once I get a good pace with this series, I want to continue it into season 2 and beyond. Again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Peace.